I want you to think about the people in your life right now, the ones you call friends, the ones whose names are in your phone, the ones you sit with at church or at the coffee shop or at the kitchen table. I want you to picture their faces. Now I'm going to ask you a question that might be uncomfortable. How many of them are actually your friends? Not people who are friendly to you, not people who smile when they see you, not people who say nice things and remember your birthday and ask how you were doing. How many of them actually care about what happens to you? How many of them would show up if you called at midnight and said, I need help? How many of them would still be in your life if you had nothing left to offer? No favors, no food, no money, no rides, no babysitting, no emotional support, nothing. How many would remain if the only thing you had to give was your company? If you are honest with yourself, and I need you to be honest with yourself right now, the number is smaller than you think. Maybe much smaller, because some of the people you call friends are not your friends. They are performing friendship, and the performance is so convincing that you have mistaken it for the real thing for years, maybe decades. I am not saying this to hurt you. I am saying this to protect you, because in your final years, the time and the energy and the emotional investment you pour into a fake friendship is time and energy you are stealing from yourself and from the people who are actually real. And I want you to know the difference, not guess. No. So today I am going to give you 5 signs, 5 clear, unmistakable indicators that someone in your life is pretending to be your friend. And once you see these signs, you will not be able to unsee them. They will change the way you look at every person who sits across from you. And that is a good thing, because seeing clearly is always better than seeing comfortably. The first sign that someone is pretending to be your friend is that they only show up during good times. Think about the last time something wonderful happened to you. A birthday, an anniversary, a celebration, a grandchild being born, a milestone of any kind. Who showed up? Now think about the last time something terrible happened. A diagnosis, a loss, a dark season, a period of fear or sadness or struggle. Who showed up then? If the two lists are different, if there are people who appear for the cake but disappear for the crisis, those people are not your friends. They are fans. They enjoy the highlight reel of your life. They want to be around you when the energy is good and the mood is light and the food is on the table. But the moment the energy shifts, the moment the mood darkens, the moment you need something instead of offering something, they evaporate. Not dramatically, they don't announce their departure, they just become unavailable, busy, out of reach, and they stay that way until the storm passes and the sunshine returns and it is safe to come back. I knew a woman named Gladys who thought she had a large circle of friends, 15 women she saw regularly, lunches, shopping trips, church gatherings, birthday dinners. Gladys was surrounded by women who laughed with her and hugged her and told her she was wonderful. And then Gladys got sick. Not a cold, a real illness. The kind that keeps you in bed for weeks. The kind that makes you look different and sound different and need things from people instead of giving things to people. And of those 15 women, 3 visited. 3 out of 15. The other 12 sent a text message or a card or nothing at all. And when Gladys recovered, those 12 showed up again as if nothing had happened, smiling, hugging, ready for lunch. And Gladys, still weak from the illness, looked at those 12 faces and saw them clearly for the first time. She saw that their friendship had always been conditional. The condition was that Gladys be well, be fun, be the Gladys they enjoyed being around. The moment she became a Gladys who needed something, the condition was not met, and the friendship evaporated. Those 3 women who showed up during the sickness, those were her friends. The other 12 were her audience. I want you to apply this test to your own life right now. Think about the last time you went through something hard. A health scare, a loss, a season of depression, a period of fear. Who called, who visited, who sent more than a text, who sat with you even when there was nothing to say, and the room was heavy and the visit was not pleasant, and who vanished, who became suddenly busy, who said, "Let me know if you need anything," and then never followed up. That second group, the vanishers, they are not bad people. I want to be clear about that. Most of them are not intentionally cruel. They are simply not equipped to be present for pain. They signed for the good parts of your life, and they do not have the tools or the will to handle the bad parts. And that is their limitation, not their crime. But it means they are not your friends. They are your companions for the good times, and companions for the good times have value. But do not confuse them with the people who will hold your hand in the dark. Those are rare. Those are precious. And those are the only ones you should be calling friends. My grandmother used to say that you do not know who your friends are until you need one. She said friendship is invisible in good weather. It only becomes visible in the storm. That is when the real ones reveal themselves, and the storm always comes. So pay attention when it does, because the storm is not just a test of your strength. It is a test of everyone around you, and the results of that test are the most honest information you will ever receive about the people in your life. Before I share the next teaching, one quick thing. Everything I have been pulling out of these old ways, the teachings about protecting yourself, about knowing who is real and who is performing, about building a life surrounded by truth instead of pretense, I have written it all down. 20 teachings, 4 parts, in the order they were meant to be received. It is called the Native Way. You can scan the QR code on the screen with your phone or find the link in the comments. But stay right here, because the next 4 signs are the ones that people tell me were hiding right in front of them the whole time. The second sign that someone is pretending to be your friend is that the conversation is always about them. Every time. You call them to talk about something you are going through, and within 5 minutes, the conversation has turned back to their problems, their health, their children, their frustrations. You start a sentence about your own struggle, and before you finish it, they have interrupted with a story about theirs. And their story is always bigger. Their pain is always worse. Their situation is always more urgent. You are never given the space to fully express what you are feeling because the space is always occupied by them. I want you to try something the next time you talk to a person you suspect of this. Pay attention to how long you are allowed to speak about yourself before the conversation redirects. Count the minutes if you have to. A real friend will let you talk for as long as you need. They will ask follow-up questions. They will sit in the silence after you share something heavy and not rush to fill it with their own story. They will make you feel that your experience matters and deserves air. A fake friend will listen for approximately 90 seconds and then find a way to steer the conversation back to their own life. That 90-second window is the tell. If you consistently get 90 seconds or less before the conversation shifts, that person is not interested in your life. They are interested in having a witness for theirs, and you are the witness, not the friend. The audience member who is expected to sit quietly and watch their performance. The third sign that someone is pretending to be your friend is that they talk about other friends the same way they talk to you. Pay attention to this one because it is the most revealing sign on this entire list. When a person sits with you and talks negatively about someone who is not in the room, they are showing you exactly what they do when you are not in the room. If they tell you private things about Margaret's health, they are telling Margaret private things about yours. If they gossip to you about Helen's family problems, they are gossiping to Helen about yours. The way a person talks about others in their absence is a mirror of how they talk about you in yours. And if what you see in that mirror is cruelty, judgment, and the sharing of private information, then you are looking at a person who is doing the same thing with your name the moment you walk out the door. My grandmother had a rule. She said, "If someone brings you gossip, they will carry yours." It is that simple. A person who feeds on other people's private information is not going to make an exception for you. You are not special to them. You are not the one person they would never gossip about. You are just the one person who hasn't caught them yet. And the fact that they feel comfortable gossiping to you is not a sign of closeness. It is a sign that they have categorized you as someone who will tolerate it, someone who will listen and nod and maybe even contribute. And the moment you contribute, the moment you add your own piece of gossip to the pile, you have given them ammunition. They now have something you said about someone else that can be used against you whenever the alliance shifts, because alliances always shift with people who gossip. Today, you are their partner. Tomorrow, you are their subject. The only safe position with a gossip is distance. The fourth sign that someone is pretending to be your friend is that they make you feel worse after spending time with them. This is the simplest and most reliable test there is. How do you feel after being with this person? Not during, after. Because during interaction, you might not notice. The conversation might be pleasant enough, the laughter might be genuine enough, the company might seem fine on the surface, but when you get home, when you sit down in your own space and the interaction is settled, how do you feel? Lighter or heavier? Energized or drained? Peaceful or anxious? Good about yourself or questioning yourself? A real friend leaves you feeling more like yourself, more confident, more at ease, more seen. A fake friend leaves you feeling subtly diminished. You might not be able to explain it. You might not be able to point to a specific thing they said or did, but the feeling is there. A vague heaviness, a slight erosion of your mood, a sense that something was taken from you, even though you cannot name what it was. I knew a man named Raymond who had a friend named Thomas for over 20 years. And if you had asked Raymond, he would have told you Thomas was one of his closest friends. They saw each other every week. They had a routine, coffee on Wednesday mornings, and Raymond never questioned the friendship until his wife pointed something out. She said, "Have you noticed that every time you come home from coffee with Thomas, you are in a bad mood?" And Raymond thought about it, and she was right. Every Wednesday afternoon, Raymond was irritable, quiet, slightly deflated, and he had never connected it to the Wednesday morning coffee, but once his wife named it, he started paying attention, and he realized that Thomas had a subtle way of making Raymond feel inadequate, not through obvious insults, through comparisons. Thomas would mention his own grandchildren's accomplishments in a way that implied Raymond's were lacking. He would talk about his own health in a way that highlighted Raymond's decline. He would reference his own financial security in a way that made Raymond feel behind. None of it was direct enough to confront, but all of it was intentional enough to land. And Raymond had been absorbing those small hits every Wednesday for 20 years. 20 years of coming home slightly worse than when he left. That is not friendship. That is erosion disguised as routine. And the moment Raymond stopped going to Wednesday coffee was the moment his wife said his mood improved for the rest of the week. I want to say something important about this sign because it is the trickiest to act on. The other signs involve clear behaviors you can point to, but this one is a feeling, and feelings are easy to dismiss. You might tell yourself, "I'm just being sensitive. I'm overthinking it. They didn't mean anything by it," and maybe you are right occasionally. But if the feeling happens consistently, if you reliably feel worse after seeing a specific person, that consistency is your evidence. Your body is keeping score even when your mind is making excuses. Your body knows when it has been in the presence of something that is not safe, even when the words being spoken sound perfectly fine. Trust your body. If your shoulders tighten when you see their name on your phone, if your stomach drops slightly when their car pulls into the driveway, if you feel a subtle dread before every meeting that you cover up with a smile, those physical responses are not paranoia. They are data. Your body has been collecting data on this person for years, and the data says this person is not safe, not physically dangerous, emotionally unsafe. And at your age, emotional safety is not a luxury, it is a necessity. Your nervous system cannot afford to spend hours every week in the presence of someone who subtly tears you down. The toll is too high, and the years are too few. Trust the body. Leave the relationship. And watch how much lighter you feel when you are no longer volunteering for weekly erosion. The fifth sign that someone is pretending to be your friend is that they are never happy for your good news. This is the sign that hurts the most because it attacks something sacred. When something good happens to you, when you receive good news or achieve something or experience a moment of joy, you want to share it with the people you love. That is natural. That is human. You call your friend and you say, "Something wonderful happened," and you listen to their response. A real friend lights up. Their voice changes. Their energy lifts. You can feel their happiness through the phone. It is genuine and immediate and unforced. A fake friend says the right words. "Oh, that's great. Good for you. I'm happy for you." But the tone is flat. The energy doesn't shift. And sometimes, if you listen very carefully, you can hear something underneath the polite congratulations. A tightness, a strain, a silence that lasts half a second too long before the words come. That half second is the truth. That is the real reaction before the performance begins. And the real reaction is not happiness. It is envy or resentment or the bitter awareness that your success has highlighted their stagnation, and they cannot be genuinely happy for you because your happiness has reminded them of their own unhappiness. My grandfather said, "The truest test of a friendship is not how a person treats you in your sorrow. It is how they treat you in your joy." Because almost anyone can show up for sadness. Sadness is not threatening, but joy, your success, your good fortune, that requires a friend to celebrate something that they do not have. And only a real friend can do that without resentment. Only a real friend can look at your harvest and be glad, even when their own field is empty. That generosity of spirit, the ability to celebrate someone else's blessing without measuring it against your own lack, that is the rarest quality in a human being. And if you find it in someone, hold on to them because that person is real. Everything about them is real, and you will never have to wonder whether their smile is genuine. I want to tell you about this from the other side, because maybe you are not just the victim of this. Maybe you have also been the one who could not celebrate someone else's good news. Maybe there have been moments when a friend shared something wonderful and you felt that tightening inside, that flicker of envy before the smile appeared on your face. I have felt it too. Every human being has felt it. And the question is not whether you feel it. The question is what you do with it. A person of character feels the envy and chooses to celebrate anyway. They override the smallness with the bigness. They say, "I am happy for you." And they mean it, even though a part of them wishes they had the same blessing. That choice, the choice to be generous in the face of your own lack, is what separates a real friend from a fake one. And it is a choice every single time. Nobody is naturally generous with their joy. It is a discipline, a practice, a decision made in the moment to be bigger than your envy. If you want real friends, be one first. Celebrate people, even when it costs you something inside. Especially when it costs you something inside. That is where the realness lives, in the cost. 5 signs. They disappear during the hard times. Every conversation circles back to them. They gossip about others the same way they talk to you. You feel worse after spending time with them. And they cannot be happy for your good news. 5 signs that are probably already making you think of specific people, specific faces, specific names, and that recognition, as painful as it is the first step toward protecting the years you have left. You do not have time for pretend friendships. You do not have energy for performances. You have room in your final years for a handful of real people, people who show up when it's ugly, people who let you speak, people who protect your name when you are not in the room, people who leave you feeling better, not worse, people who celebrate your joy without measuring it against their own. Find those people, keep those people, and let the rest go with gratitude for whatever they gave you. and the clear-eyed understanding that what they gave you was never friendship. It was something else. And something else is not enough. Not anymore. Not in the time you have left. I want to leave you with one last thing. After you identify the fake friends, after you see the signs and accept what they mean, you may feel a grief. Because losing a friendship, even a fake one, is still a loss. The laughter was real, even if the loyalty wasn't. The lunches were enjoyable, even if the love wasn't deep. There will be an emptiness where those people used to be. And that emptiness is okay. It is better to have an honest, empty seat at your table than a full table of people who are performing. Because the empty seat can be filled by someone real, but a seat occupied by a pretender blocks a real person from ever sitting down. Clear the seats, make room, and trust that the right people, the real ones, will find their way to you. They always do. When you stop tolerating the fake, the real has room to arrive. And when it arrives, you will know the difference instantly. Because real friendship doesn't perform, it just shows up, quietly, consistently, without needing an audience, without needing applause, just two people who see each other and choose each other over and over, in the good times and the bad. That is friendship. Everything else is theater. If what you heard today stayed with you, the book is there. The Native Way 20 teachings, 100 pages, written the way I would speak to you if we were sitting together. Scan the QR code on the screen with your phone or find the link in the comments, read one chapter, sit with it. Now I want to hear from you. Tell me in the comments which of these 5 signs did you recognize first and in who. I read every comment. And if this is the kind of conversation you have been looking for, subscribe to this channel. We are not collecting viewers here. We are collecting people who remember. Come back next week. I am not done teaching yet.